Well, as you can see, we had another successful hunt this morning. Good sized doe down. But I'm going to go through the process. Been getting questions about how I field dress deer, so I'm going to go through the process of it. Show the steps I do. It's pretty simple. Usually only takes but a few minutes, but there's certainly a couple things to remember. Obviously, the sooner you can get it done, the better. Less chance of spoilage, especially if it's warm out. Also, the longer a deer sits, the more likely it is to start bloating, making it tougher to cut without opening up the guts. So the quicker you can get it taken care of, it's always the better solution. I do like to wear gloves, just keeps everything cleaner, especially with all the other gear we have. So I'm gonna wear gloves, and then just a knife. A good sharp knife really helps the process. I don't use a saw. Sometimes if I have a saw with me, it's handy, I will, but most of the time I just get the job done just with a sharp knife. Obviously, you can have one that you keep sharp, or the replaceable blade ones are nice too. So um, go ahead and get started here. The first thing it helps, especially if you're by yourself, have the back of the deer facing downhill. Let gravity help you out a little bit. So we have her angled downhill right here. And the first step, I'm going to get down here and cut around the anus. This is basically going to free it up so that it comes out with the rest of the guts when we open her up. So usually try to get down here, kind of pin her legs up a little bit like that. And I'm going to cut around the entire anus here. You're going to want to get pretty deep in there to free that up. There's a lot of fatty tissue around, so you're not cutting into any meat here, so you don't got to worry about that. Just make sure you cut all the way around and as deep as you can go, and you'll kind of know right when it frees up here. Just cut that fatty tissue to where that's free. There, you can kind of feel it come loose. So now that will come out the back side when we go to gut her. Next, we'll try to get her flat on her back as good as possible, so you have a nice working area here. This one looks like she may be dry. If she had a bunch of milk, I'd probably cut that out first. But this one looks like she's pretty dry. So I'll make a cut up here to start. Now, one thing to remember, if this was a buck that you're trying to shoulder mount, you wouldn't want to go this high. Keep it more around the midsection for that first cut. But since this is a doe, we're not worried about keeping that cape. So now when I get to the end of the chest here, I can start going underneath the hide and that outer fat layer. So basically I'm going to take my two fingers here, and I'm going to have the knife blade pointing up, and I'm going to pull up as I cut down. So this is going to keep you from cutting into the main gut section. So I'll take my fingers and pull up against it, and that's when I can start opening this up. This is where you want to be a little more careful here, that you don't get into the guts there. The other thing too, the reason you like to have the knife blade up is you're not throwing hair everywhere. If you're cutting with the knife blade down through the hide, you get hair everywhere, you're going to be cutting those hairs into a million little pieces. You cut with it and your knife blade's going up and you're coming up through the hide from the bottom, from underneath it, you're not cutting those hairs. It slides right through those hairs and you have a lot less of a mess. And there's nothing worse than trying to pick all those hairs off the meat later on. So cut with the knife blade up when you're going through this process. You kind of do that the whole way down. Again, you're kind of keeping the guts at bay, keeping them below your hand and your fingers there. And they'll start to come out a little bit here, but you're essentially going to go all the way down. And then you can slice it open at the bottom. Just like that. Okay, so now we have our guts kind of separated by themselves there. You can cut up into this rib cage a little bit more. There's basically two sections once you get inside, and they're separated by the diaphragm. So on the front side, you have the heart and lungs, and then the back side is all the gut. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut around the outer wall, cut that diaphragm all the way down so everything comes out as one big piece. So you come in here, and if you get right here, you can see where that diaphragm starts. The diaphragm is this thick piece of tissue here that runs along the wall. We're going to cut that down the side here. Same thing on this side. We're going to cut wall, that diaphragm down so that it pulls out. You can see, there's a good look at it right there. You can see where it separates. So we're going to cut that down. So now we have that separated. You're going to reach up, and this is where you can feel the heart and lungs and the esophagus. The esophagus is up in here. If you had a saw, you could cut that all the way up and open it up a little more. I just like to get this out of the way so I can see. Obviously, be careful with your knife. I'm going to take my knife all the way up there, find that windpipe, that esophagus, and just sever that. You can see where I severed it right here. Now everything's going to pull out. So set my knife back here, and I'm just going to slowly pull everything back. You can kind of use that diaphragm to pull on too. Everything just peels off. Sometimes you're going to have some extra fatty tissue you can cut with the knife. So now, since we started by coring that first part out, now that comes out with everything too. Just some coagulated blood to pull out of there, but essentially all the guts are now out, along with the heart, the lungs, everything. So we can lift her up and pour some of that, drain some of that blood out. You know, some guys like to keep the heart or the liver. You can cut those out if they're not damaged. The biggest thing for me is I will get the blood out, and I'll get her home and get her rinsed out and to help cool the meat so you don't start getting that spoilage. But again, the main thing is just getting those guts out as soon as you can. So like I said, another fun morning in the tree. Gonna get her home and get her taken care of the rest of the way.